The distress signal pierced through the darkness of space like a desperate whisper. Lieutenant Sarah Chen stood at her station aboard the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space research vessel, as the mysterious transmission filtered through the ship's communication array. The signal was unlike anything she'd encountered in her 15 years of space exploration, a haunting melody of mathematical sequences that spoke of both advanced intelligence and profound desperation. "Captain Reynolds," she called out, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "You need to see this." Captain Michael Reynolds, a veteran of Earth's first expansion into the asteroid belt, moved from his command chair with practiced ease in the low gravity. His weathered face reflected the soft blue glow of the display as he studied the signal pattern. Analysis. "It's definitely artificial, sir. The sequence follows prime number intervals, but there's something else." Sarah paused, adjusting the frequency. "It's carrying encoded data packets, massive amounts of them." The bridge crew fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had spent centuries searching for signs of intelligent life beyond Earth. They'd found microscopic organisms on Europa, fossil records on Mars, but never another spacefaring civilization. Until now. Reynolds squared his shoulders, his decision already made. Plot and intercept course. Whatever's out there, they're asking for help, and we're going to answer. The Horizon's fusion drives flared to life, pushing the massive vessel through the void. As they drew closer to the signal's origin, the ship's sensors began painting a clearer picture. A massive vessel, easily 3 times the size of the Horizon, drifted in the space between stars. Its design was organic, almost crystalline, with spiraling structures that defied human engineering principles. "Life signs?" Reynolds asked, his voice tight with anticipation. "Confirmed," the sensor officer reported. "Several thousand, but they're weak. The vessel's power systems appear to be failing." Sarah's console suddenly lit up with new data. "Sir, they're transmitting again. But this time, I think it's a language package. They're trying to communicate." The ship's AI began processing the transmission, comparing patterns and structures against every known human language. Minutes stretched into hours as the crew watched the alien vessel grow larger in their viewport. Finally, the AI announced its success with a soft chime. "Translation matrix established," it reported. "Ready to attempt communication." Reynolds took a deep breath. "Open a channel." The alien response was immediate. A holographic display materialized in the center of the bridge, showing a tall, ethereal being. Its form was vaguely humanoid, but its skin had a translucent quality that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Multiple pairs of eyes, arranged in a symmetrical pattern, regarded the human crew with what could only be described as hope. "People of Earth," the being spoke, its words translated in real time. "I am Navigator Zeravesh of the Nixian Exodus vessel Star's Cradle. We come seeking sanctuary." Reynolds stepped forward. "I'm Captain Michael Reynolds of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We receive your distress call. How can we help?" The alien's form flickered, a sign of their failing systems. "Our civilization. Our homeworld. Everything we knew is gone. Destroyed by those who would force all species to bend to their will. We refused to join their war of conquest, so they made an example of us." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Humanity's expansion into space had been driven by scientific curiosity and the need for resources, not military might. The idea of a civilization being destroyed for choosing peace was horrifying. "We have 3,000 survivors aboard," Zeravesh continued. "Our power systems are failing. Without help, we will not survive another solar rotation. We intercepted your world's transmissions, saw how your people value independence and free will. We hope you might understand." Sarah watched as Reynolds processed this information. In the 15 years she'd served under him, she'd never seen him hesitate to help those in need. But this was different. This decision wouldn't just affect their crew or even Earth. It could change the course of human history. Navigator Zeravesh, Reynolds said finally, his voice firm. Humanity has dreamed of meeting other intelligent life among the stars for generations. We've hoped to find friends who share our values of peace and cooperation. Your people chose peace even in the face of destruction. That's exactly the kind of civilization we want to know. He straightened, every inch the representative of his species. We'll help you, whatever it takes. The relief that washed over Zaravesh's features was universal enough for all to recognize. Thank you, Captain Reynolds, but you must understand, those who destroyed our world still hunt us. By helping us, you risk bringing their wrath upon Earth as well. Reynolds smiled grimly. Navigator, humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and our own near destruction through climate change. We've learned to face our challenges head-on. If these conquerors come looking for trouble, they'll find that Earth isn't as helpless as they might think. The next several hours were a flurry of activity as the Horizon's crew worked to stabilize the star's cradle's critical systems. Engineering teams crossed between the vessels, marveling at the advanced but alien technology, while rigging emergency power transfers. Medical personnel began treating the most vulnerable Nixian survivors, quickly learning that despite their exotic appearance, their biological needs weren't so different from humans. Sarah found herself working closely with Zeravesh, helping to establish more robust communication protocols between the two ships. The Nixian navigator's knowledge of mathematics and physics far surpassed current human understanding, but she shared her insights freely, treating Sarah as an equal despite the gap in their technological development. As the immediate crisis passed, Reynolds stood in the Horizon's observation deck, watching his crew work alongside the Nixians. He knew that within hours, the full weight of this encounter would begin to sink in. Earth's governments would have to be notified. Decisions would need to be made about how to protect both humanity and their new allies from the threat that had driven the Nixians from their home. But for now, he allowed himself to feel the pure wonder of the moment. Humanity had just made first contact with a spacefaring civilization, and their first act had been to offer help to those in need. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they had already proven that the best of human nature, compassion, curiosity, and courage, would light their way forward among the stars. The emergency meeting of the United Earth Council stretched into its 6th hour. Captain Reynolds stood before the assembled representatives, his uniform crisp despite his exhaustion, as he finished presenting the full scope of what the Horizon had discovered. The chamber's holographic displays showed detailed scans of the star's cradle and its refugee passengers, along with the devastating data about the force that had driven them across the galaxy. The hegemony, Reynolds said, his voice echoing in the vast chamber, represents everything humanity has fought against throughout our history. They're an alliance of militant species who believe that peace is weakness, and that any civilization unwilling to join their conquest deserves extinction. Council President Amara Okafor leaned forward, her dark eyes sharp with concern. And you believe they will follow the Nixians to Earth? Not believe, Madam President. We know. Reynolds gestured, and new images appeared. Tactical data translated from the Nixians' records. The hegemony doesn't leave survivors. They're methodical, thorough, and they've already tracked the star's cradle through 3 star systems. The chamber erupted in worried murmurs. Earth had only recently achieved reliable interstellar travel. Their military capabilities, while substantial for protecting the solar system, were untested against advanced alien threats. If I may speak, a new voice cut through the chaos. Zaravesh had been waiting patiently in the chamber's shadows. The Nixian navigator moved forward, her crystalline form catching the light. We understand if you wish us to leave. We won't condemn another species to face the hegemony's wrath. Sarah Chen, standing beside her captain, watched the council's reactions. She'd spent the past week working closely with the Nixians, learning about their technology, their culture, their art. The thought of sending them back into space to die felt like a betrayal of everything humanity stood for. President Okafor raised her hand for silence. Navigator Zaravesh, Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before. Each time, we've survived not by running or surrendering, but by standing together and finding innovative solutions. I have a question for you. If we help you, what can your people offer in return? Zarevesh's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. Knowledge. Our civilization spent millennia studying the universe. We know secrets of physics your scientists haven't yet discovered, medical techniques that could extend human lifespans, and technologies that could help you terraform worlds. All of this we would share freely. There's something else. Sarah stepped forward, unable to remain silent. The Nixians' sensor technology. It's decades ahead of ours. They can detect hegemony ships long before they arrive. With their help, we'd have time to prepare. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity would face the hegemony's wrath either way. Their first contact with the Nixians had guaranteed that. The only question was whether they'd face it alone, or with allies who could help them prepare. We need to vote, President Okafor announced. But first, I want to hear from our military leadership. General Zhang, what are our options? General Helen Zhang, commander of Earth's Space Force, stepped up to the podium. Her weathered face showed no fear, only calculated determination. The Nixians' technology, combined with human military doctrine, could give us an advantage. We've studied their tactical data. The hegemony relies on overwhelming force and superior technology. They've never faced an enemy that could anticipate their movements or match their capabilities. She brought up a new tactical display. Moreover, they're overconfident. They don't expect resistance, and they certainly don't expect their prey to fight back effectively. Humanity's greatest military victories have often come from being underestimated. Another council member spoke up. But can we trust the Nixians? How do we know this isn't some elaborate trap? Because they had every opportunity to destroy us already, Reynolds answered. Their ship, even damaged, carries weapon systems far beyond our current capabilities. Instead of attacking, they shared their knowledge freely. They've proven themselves worthy of our trust. President Okafor stood, her decision evident in her bearing. We will vote, but first, let me remind everyone of our history. Humanity has always faced choices between easy safety and difficult right. When we discovered nuclear power, we could have abandoned it out of fear. When climate change threatened our world, we could have given up. When the first colony ships failed, we could have stayed on Earth. Each time, we chose to face our challenges head-on. She turned to face Zarevesh. Your people chose peace, knowing it might cost you everything. That alone tells us all we need to know about your character. If we turned you away now, we'd be betraying not just you, but everything humanity stands for. The vote, when it came, was decisive. Earth would stand with the Nixians, whatever the cost. The next few hours were a flurry of activity as plans were set in motion. The star's cradle would be moved to a secure facility on Mars, where human and Nixian engineers could begin sharing technology. Earth's military production would be ramped up, incorporating Nixian advancements. As the council chamber emptied, Sarah found herself standing with Zarevesh in front of the chamber's vast window, looking out at the Earth below. Your people are extraordinary, Zarevesh said softly. When we sent out our distress call, we hoped to find shelter. Instead, we found warriors willing to stand with us. Sarah smiled. That's the thing about humanity. We've learned that true strength isn't about domination. It's about standing up for what's right, no matter the odds. Above them, the stars twinkled peacefully, but everyone knew the peace wouldn't last. The hegemony was coming, and when they arrived, they would face something they'd never encountered before. Humanity fighting alongside the very people they tried to destroy, armed with both Nixian technology and human determination. The price of peace would be high, but Earth was ready to pay it. Mars glowed red against the black of space, but its surface was anything but dormant. In the 6 months since Earth's decision to shelter the Nixians, the red planet had transformed into a buzzing hive of joint human-alien innovation. The massive complex, dubbed Haven Base, sprawled across Valles Marineris, its crystalline spires melding seamlessly with human architecture. Sarah Chen stood in the base's central command center, watching as teams of humans and Nixians worked side by side. The technological integration had progressed faster than anyone had dared hope. Nixian crystal computing matrices enhanced Earth's quantum systems, while human ingenuity found new applications for the aliens' advanced materials. "The latest sensor grid is online," announced Dr. Marcus Rivera, Earth's leading physicist who had been working closely with the Nixian scientists. "We can now detect quantum wake signatures up to 15 light-years out. If the hegemony shows up, we'll know." General Zhang nodded approvingly as she studied the holographic display. The sensor network spread like a spider's web through nearby star systems, each node disguised as natural space debris. "And they won't be able to detect the sensors. Not with their current technology," Zaravesh confirmed, her crystalline form pulsing with subtle lights as she spoke. "The hegemony relies on brute force rather than subtlety. They've never needed to develop stealth technology because no one has survived long enough to fight back effectively." The general's smile was sharp. "Then that's their first mistake. How are the defense platforms coming along?" Sarah pulled up another display, showing the rings of satellites now orbiting both Earth and Mars. "The fusion of our missile technology with Nixian energy shields is complete. Each platform can withstand direct hits while returning fire. But the real breakthrough is in the propulsion systems." She zoomed in on one of the platforms, highlighting its engine configuration. "By combining our antimatter catalysts with Nixian crystal matrices, we've created drives that can outmaneuver anything in the hegemony fleet. They won't expect our defensive platforms to be mobile." "Excellent." Zhang turned to Captain Reynolds, who had been promoted to fleet commander. "And the ships?" Reynolds brought up images of the newly completed vessels in Earth's shipyards. They were sleek hybrids of human and Nixian design, their hulls incorporating crystal growth patterns that enhanced both structural integrity and energy distribution. "The first wave of Defender-class ships is ready. We've installed the modified Nixian shields, and our crews are training with the new weapon systems." "The real advantage," Zaravesh added, "is how your people have adapted our technology. The way you've integrated crystal computing with human neural interfaces. It's beyond anything our civilization achieved. Your pilots can react faster, think faster, than any hegemony commander would believe possible." The meeting continued as they reviewed other preparations. The moon had been transformed into a fortress, its tunnels and craters hiding automated defense systems. Venus hosted atmosphere processors based on Nixian terraforming technology, creating clouds of metallic particles that could disrupt enemy sensors. Every asteroid large enough to be useful had been turned into a hidden weapons platform or sensor array. But the greatest developments had happened on Earth itself. Cities now shimmered under crystalline dome shields. Orbital defense grids powered by fusion reactors stood ready. The planet's population had united in purpose, setting aside old rivalries to face the coming threat. Later that evening, Sarah found herself in one of Haven Base's observation domes, watching the Martian sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. Dr. Rivera joined her, his dark eyes thoughtful as he looked out over the transformed landscape. "Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come," he said softly. "A year ago, we were celebrating our first successful interstellar flight. Now we're preparing to face an alien armada with technology we barely understand." Sarah nodded. "But that's what they don't expect, isn't it? The hegemony thinks in terms of technological superiority, but they don't understand human adaptability. Every piece of Nixian technology we've received, we haven't just used it. We've improved it, found new applications, combined it with our own innovations in ways they never imagined. It's more than that," came Zaravesh's voice as the navigator approached. "Your species has something we lost long ago, the warrior's spirit combined with a peacemaker's heart. You fight not because you love war, but because you cherish peace enough to defend it." The conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert. Red lights flashed throughout the base as General Zhang's voice came over the communication system. All personnel to battle stations. Long-range sensors have detected quantum wake signatures. Multiple signatures, approaching from the direction of the Carina arm. Sarah's heart raced as she rushed back to the command center. This was it, the moment they'd been preparing for. The hegemony had finally found them. But as she watched the command center spring to life, saw the determined faces of humans and Nixians working together, she felt not fear, but a fierce sort of joy. The hegemony was coming, yes, but they had no idea what they were about to face. They expected to find a primitive world sheltering their defeated prey. Instead, they would find humanity standing ready, armed with Nixian knowledge and human innovation, prepared to show the galaxy that sometimes the strongest defense came from the most unexpected alliance. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of Earth and the Nixian refugees, but perhaps the future of the galaxy itself. As the alert signals continued to pulse, Sarah knew that whatever happened next, humanity had already achieved something remarkable. They had proved that compassion wasn't weakness, that helping others could make you stronger, and that sometimes the best way to face a threat was to stand together, no matter the odds. The hegemony fleet emerged from quantum space like a tide of darkness. 300 warships, their hulls scarred from countless victories, dropped into normal space at the edge of the solar system. Their angular shapes, bristling with weapon ports, reflected no light. They were designed to inspire terror as much as project power. In Haven Base's command center, the holographic display showed the approaching armada in crisp detail. General Zhang stood at the center of the room, her face illuminated by the red emergency lights. Battle stations. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. The trap they'd spent months preparing was about to be sprung. Throughout the solar system, seemingly dormant asteroids suddenly powered up their engines. The clouds of Venus swirled with hidden purpose, and in orbit around Earth and Mars, the new hybrid defense platforms silently tracked the incoming fleet. "They're broadcasting," Sarah announced from her station. "System-wide on all frequencies." A harsh voice filled the command center, speaking through the translation matrix. "This is Supreme Commander Vexthor of the Hegemony Enforcement Fleet. You harbor fugitives who rejected the glory of the hegemony. Surrender them and submit to our authority, or face extinction. You have one planetary rotation to comply." Fleet Commander Reynolds, aboard his flagship UES Defiant, sent the response they'd prepared. "This is Earth. We've heard about your kind of glory. Our answer is no." The hegemony fleet's reaction was immediate. Their front line of ships accelerated, weapon systems charging. But they'd already fallen into the first layer of humanity's defense. "Activate the Venus screen," General Zhang ordered. The metallic clouds in Venus's atmosphere suddenly shifted, forming a massive electromagnetic web. The hegemony's first wave of ships found their sensors blinded, their quantum communications disrupted. They slowed, trying to regroup, exactly as planned. "Launch asteroid swarm Alpha through Delta," Reynolds commanded. What the hegemony had dismissed as space debris suddenly revealed itself as carefully positioned weapons platforms. Hundreds of asteroids, equipped with advanced propulsion systems, began moving in complex patterns, their Nixian-enhanced shields deflecting the panicked fire from the enemy fleet. Sarah watched the tactical display as the battle plan unfolded. The hegemony commanders, faced with moving asteroids and sensor-blocking clouds, fell back on their usual tactics. They formed into tight battle groups, preparing to punch through with overwhelming force. "They're clustering," Zoravesh observed, her crystalline form pulsing with tension. "Just as you predicted, General." Zhang nodded grimly. "Spring the trap. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega." The Earth-Nixian hybrid ships emerged from their hiding places in Mars' shadow. They moved with impossible agility, their human pilots linked directly to their ships through the crystal computing matrices. Before the hegemony fleet could react, they were under attack from all sides. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries to come. The hegemony ships, each one a veteran of dozens of conquests, found themselves facing an enemy that refused to behave as expected. Human ingenuity combined with Nixian technology created strategies they'd never encountered. Defender-class ships danced through their formation, their crystalline hulls absorbing energy weapons while their human-designed kinetic weapons tore through enemy shields. The asteroid platforms continued their complex dance, herding enemy ships into prepared killing zones where Earth's orbital defense platforms waited. Multiple hegemony capital ships are attempting to break through to Earth, Sarah reported, her fingers flying over her console. They're charging their main weapons. Activate the Luna batteries, John ordered. The surface of the moon lit up as hundreds of hidden weapon emplacements revealed themselves. Streams of antimatter-enhanced missiles, guided by crystal computing systems, streaked across space. The hegemony ships, already strained from the battle, found their shields failing against weapons they'd never encountered before. Supreme Commander Vexthor's voice boomed through the command center again, but this time there was rage in it. Impossible. You're nothing but primitives. How dare you resist? That's humanity's secret, Reynolds replied as his fleet executed another impossibly precise maneuver. We've spent our entire history being underestimated, and we've spent that time learning, adapting, and preparing for moments exactly like this. The battle raged for hours. The hegemony fleet, for the first time in its history, found itself losing ships faster than it could reposition them. Every tactic they tried was countered. Every advantage they thought they had was turned against them. When the end came, it came swiftly. Vexthor's flagship, trying to rally its forces for one final push, found itself surrounded by asteroid platforms, hybrid ships, and lunar batteries. Its shields failed under the combined assault, and with it went the hegemony's aura of invincibility. Enemy fleet is in full retreat, Sarah announced, her voice hoarse from hours of continuous operation. 60% of their ships destroyed or disabled. The rest are preparing for quantum jumps. The command center erupted in cheers, human and Nixian voices joining together in celebration. But General Zhang raised her hand for silence. Send the message. Reynolds's voice carried across all frequencies, reaching the retreating hegemony ships. Let the galaxy know what happened here. Humanity stands with the Nixians. We fought you not because we wanted war, but because we chose to defend those who needed help. Remember this day. Remember what happens when you underestimate the power of species working together. Remember Earth. As the last hegemony ships disappeared into quantum space, Sarah looked around the command center. Humans and Nixians embraced, celebrating not just survival, but a victory that would change the galaxy forever. They had faced the greatest military force in known space and emerged victorious, not through overwhelming power, but through cooperation, innovation, and the unwavering human spirit. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, the solar system had transformed. The joint Earth-Nixian victory over the hegemony had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy, and the ripples of change were still spreading. Sarah Chen stood in Haven Base's newly completed Great Hall, watching as diplomats from 24 alien civilizations mingled with human and Nixian representatives. The massive chamber, with its seamless blend of human architecture and Nixian crystal structures, served as a powerful symbol of what cooperation between species could achieve. Quite a change from when we first arrived, Zaravesh said, joining her at the observation window. The Nixian navigator's crystalline form had taken on new patterns, reflecting her people's gradual recovery from their near extinction. A year ago, we were refugees begging for shelter. Now Earth has become the center of a new galactic alliance. Sarah smiled, remembering the desperate first contact that had started it all. The hegemony never understood what they created when they attacked your people. They thought they were making an example. Instead, they sparked a revolution. She was right. The news of Earth's victory had spread rapidly through the galaxy's quantum communication networks. Other civilizations that had lived in fear of the hegemony suddenly saw hope. The message was clear. With the right allies and enough determination, even the mightiest oppressor could be defeated. Fleet Commander Reynolds, now serving as Earth's primary diplomatic representative, was deep in conversation with delegates from the Centaur worlds, another group of systems that had suffered under hegemony pressure. The former antagonists had approached Earth shortly after the battle, seeking to learn how a primitive world had achieved the impossible. The latest reports from the frontier are encouraging. General Zhang announced, joining their conversation. 3 more systems have broken away from hegemony control. Their fleet is stretched thin trying to maintain their grip on their remaining territories. And the technology exchange program? Sarah asked, gesturing to where Dr. Rivera was demonstrating Earth's latest innovations to an enthusiastic group of alien scientists. Exceeding all expectations, John replied with evident satisfaction. It turns out that human creativity combined with advanced alien technology is a powerful combination. Every world that joins the Alliance brings new knowledge, new perspectives, and new possibilities. The changes weren't limited to military and technological advances. Earth itself had been transformed by the events of the past year. The presence of the Nixians and the growing community of alien diplomats had shifted humanity's perspective fundamentally. Old national rivalries seemed petty in the face of galactic politics. Earth had united not through force or fear, but through the shared experience of standing together against a common threat. President Okafor took the podium, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. 1 year ago, we made a choice. When the Nixians came to us seeking help, we could have turned them away. We could have chosen safety over principle, fear over courage. Instead, we chose to stand with them, to fight alongside them, to share our knowledge and learn from theirs. She paused, looking out over the assembled representatives of a dozen worlds. That choice changed everything. Not just for Earth, not just for the Nixians, but for every civilization that has lived under the shadow of hegemony oppression. We proved that cooperation is stronger than coercion, that innovation born of necessity can overcome brute force, and that the courage to help others is the greatest strength of all. As if to emphasize her words, a notification appeared on the Great Hall's main display. Another hegemony world had just declared its independence, protected by the growing alliance's guarantee of mutual defense. The assembled diplomats broke into applause, celebrating another bloodless victory. Later that evening, Sarah found herself back in the command center, now serving as the heart of the Alliance's Joint Defense Network. The tactical display showed the growing sphere of liberated systems, each one a point of light pushing back the darkness of hegemony control. Sometimes I wonder, she said to Zaravesh, who had become not just an ally but a close friend, what would have happened if we hadn't picked up your distress signal that day? The Nixian's crystalline form shimmered thoughtfully. Perhaps another world would have found us. Perhaps we would have drifted until our systems failed. But I believe there was something special about humanity being the ones to answer our call. Your species has a unique combination of traits: the courage to fight when necessary, the wisdom to seek peace when possible, and the creativity to find solutions where others see only problems. We're not perfect, Sarah reminded her, thinking of humanity's own troubled history. No species is, Zaravesh agreed. But you learn from your mistakes. You grow. You help others grow. That's why the Alliance works, not because Earth is the strongest or the most advanced, but because you showed the galaxy a better way forward. Outside the windows of Haven Base, the Martian sunset painted the sky in brilliant colors. Construction crews, both human and alien, worked on expanding the facility, preparing for more diplomatic delegations, more scientific exchanges, more opportunities to build bridges between civilizations. The hegemony was not yet defeated. Their territory was still vast, their military still powerful, but their aura of invincibility was shattered, and with each passing day, more worlds found the courage to stand against them. The galaxy was changing, not through conquest, but through cooperation, not through fear, but through hope. And it had all started with a simple choice: the choice to help those in need, to stand up for what was right, to believe that together, different species could achieve something greater than any could manage alone. As Sarah watched the stars emerge in the darkening Martian sky, she knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had found its place among the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as champions of a new way forward, proving that sometimes the greatest victories come not from the strength to stand alone, but from the wisdom to stand together.